Hello friends, in the series on income tax cases, today we will discuss a case in which the Honorable ITAT Amritsar has discussed the importance of affidavits during the assessment proceedings. The question before the Amritsar ITAT bench was that if the assessee submits some affidavits who have given the witness in an agreement to sell and the assessing officer do not examine those witnesses, so whether in that case those witnesses should be accepted or those affidavits should be accepted. This issue has been taken up by Amritsar ITAT in the case of Anbaho Prakash versus Income Tax Officer, and this case is reported in 128 ITR Tribunal at page number 544, and the date of the judgment is 30th June 2025. The present case relates to the assessment year 12-13, and in the present case there was a cash deposit of rupees 16,75,000 by the assessee into the bank account. During the assessment proceedings, the assessing officer was examining the source of this cash deposit into the bank account. When the questionnaire was issued to the assessee explained that out of 16,75,000, the assessee has received 10 lakh as an advance money against an agreement to sale of some agriculture land. The second part of cash deposit was relating to 6,75,000, which the assessee explained that this is the agriculture income of the assessee on a piece of land of 12 acres which is owned by his father partly, and some land has been taken by the assessee on lease. The assessee also produced the lease agreements during the assessment proceedings, and the assessee also produced J forms and some Jamabandi purchase. When these evidences were submitted, no fault was found by the assessing officer in these documents, but the main contention of the assessing officer was that the sale agreement for the sale of agricultural land was not registered, and the assessing officer made the addition of the whole amount of rupees 16,75,000 under section 69. When the matter was before the CAT appeal, the CAT appeal also upheld the order of the assessing officer as it is. The assessee filed the appeal before the tribunal. When the appeal was heard by the tribunal, the tribunal was of the view that there is no requirement of registration of agreement for sale of agriculture land under the Indian Registration Act 1908. The tribunal said that under the Indian Registration Act 1908, the only requirement of the registration is in the case of transfer of some immovable property or some lease agreement or the mortgage of immovable property. The tribunal said that in the present case, when the agreement to sale was produced before the assessing officer, that agreement was not registered. There was no doubt about that, and there were witnesses in that agreement to sell. To support that agreement to sell, the assessee produced the affidavits of those witnesses who have given the witness in the agreement to sell. The assessing officer chose not to examine them. So the tribunal said that once the assessing officer has decided not to examine them, so in that case those affidavits will be deemed to be accepted by the assessing officer. And since the assessee has submitted the mountain of the evidences in the form of lease agreement, J forms and Jamabandi, and the assessing officer has not brought anything adverse against that, and the assessing officer is not able to give the evidence that the assessee do have some other income, then in that case the assessing officer was bound to accept the cash deposit by the assessee into the bank account in the form of advance received against the agreement to sell and the amount received from the agriculture income on a piece of land of 12 acres. So in the present case, it is very apparent that there is very importance of submitting the affidavits during the assessment proceedings. At the end of this video, once again, I am repeating the name of the case. The name of the case is Anbaho Prakash versus Income Tax Officer, and this case is reported in 128 ITR Tribunal at page number 544, and the date of the judgment is 30th June 2025. Thank you, friends.